20-year-old Parker Kramer is behind bars and is facing multiple charges, including rape after he was allegedly found naked on a 13-year-old girl's floor in the middle of the night. At 12:33 a.m. on Monday the 28th of April, authorities responded to a home in the 700 block of Brittany Trail in Florence, Kentucky after they received a call from a man who said he found an unknown man in his daughter's room and shot him. The father said he woke up to noises coming from his daughter's room, and when he went inside he discovered Parker naked on the floor. The father told Parker he was calling police as he went to grab his gun, and Parker pushed past him and ran out the front door. The father chased after Parker and fired 3 shots into the ground near the porch of the residence. When deputies arrived on scene, they located an unoccupied vehicle parked on a nearby street. The victim's father positively identified the suspect after he was shown a driver's license photograph, which was attached to that vehicle's registration. Boone County deputies and officers from surrounding areas helped search for Parker. The sheriff's officer's drone located Parker about 2 hours later, near Mount Zion Road and Interstate 75, and he was arrested. While interviewed by detectives, Parker said he drove 90 miles from Louisville to Florence to meet the victim. Following that conversation, Parker was charged with 1 count of burglary, 2 counts of rape and 1 count of sodomy. He remains held at the Boone County Jail on a $250,000 bond. 45-year-old Luke Kirkland is behind bars for fatally shooting 48-year-old Elisa Jones during an argument. At around 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 30th of April, authorities responded to a residence at 15251 Pine Circle in Panama City, Florida, about a welfare check on a woman. When officers arrived at the home, they were met by Luke at the front door who was hesitant to allow them inside. With a reason to believe that someone inside the premises might be in trouble, they entered and found Ellison deceased in the bathroom with a single gunshot wound. During the investigation, multiple witnesses were interviewed and determined Luke to be the primary suspect in Ellison's death. The Bay County Sheriff's Office said that a third uninvolved person was also at the home at the time of the shooting, which occurred early in the morning. Authorities said that Ellison was visiting Luke at his residence when an argument ensued and he shot her. The firearm believed to be used was recovered from a residence of Luke's relative. Luke was arrested and charged with felon in possession of a firearm and open count of first-degree homicide. He remains held at the Bay County Jail without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 40-year-old David Earl Gibson is behind bars for the beating death of a 74-year-old woman and the assault and rape of her daughter-in-law. At around 5:20 p.m. on Monday the 28th of April, authorities received a call from a passerby on Douglas Ferry Road in Washington County, Florida, stating he located a victim of a brutal attack in need of medical attention. The victim was naked, handcuffed and severely beaten with duct tape around her neck and in her hair. Within minutes of the call, emergency medical personnel and law enforcement arrived at the scene and transported her to an area hospital. Deputies spoke with the victim who said that around 10 p.m. on Sunday the 27th of April, David knocked on her door. He said that her husband and her brother-in-law were thieves and they owed him money and he was there to take it back. He then entered the home and started taking items when she began arguing with him. Upset, David struck her on and around her head, knocked her to the ground, handcuffed her and stripped her of all her clothes. While she lay on the floor, he turned his attention to the woman's 74-year-old mother-in-law, Lady Cooper Collins, and started punching her as well. The victim said that the last time she saw her mother-in-law, her eyes were swollen shut and her face was covered in blood. She said that he then duct taped her mouth shut, dragged her and threw her into his purple 2001 PT Cruiser. He then drove back to his residence where he sexually assaulted her, beat her with a blunt object and threatened to kill her with a handgun. Authorities said that while still handcuffed, David hog-tied her by putting a rope over her neck and tucking her legs up underneath. He then stuffed her into a large toolbox inside a shed in the back of his property. David closed the box and put plywood and other debris on top to keep her inside. The victim said it was very hot and that she thought she was going to suffocate and die. Investigators said that she was trapped in the toolbox for most of Monday before she was able to get her feet under her and push at a jar. She then got out of the shed and ran for her life. While still handcuffed, she used a tree to push down the duct tape from her mouth before running to nearby Douglas Ferry Road where she flagged down a motorist. The victim then asked deputies to check on her mother-in-law. They searched the victim's home and found Letty beaten to a pulp and she was pronounced dead at the scene. At just after 1 p.m. on Tuesday the 29th of April, authorities located David in a wooded area just north of Douglas Ferry Road, off Pape Pond Road, and he was arrested. David faces multiple charges including murder, aggravated battery, sexual assault and kidnapping. Authorities described David as a habitual offender with 33 prior felony charges, multiple of which were violent and resulted in 8 different stays in prison since the 1990s. His most recent visit was in March of this year. He remains held at the Washington County Jail without bond. 19-year-old Carlos Eduardo Lara of Iowa City, Iowa, is behind bars for abusing a young child. According to a criminal complaint, Carlos sexually assaulted the victim multiple times between the beginning of 2019 and the end of 2020, when the child was about 8 years old. A warrant for his arrest was issued on Tuesday the 29th of April 2025, and he was taken into custody the following day. Carlos is charged with second-degree sexual abuse, and he remains held at the Johnson County Jail on a $25,000 bond. On Thursday the 1st of May, Carlos made his first appearance in court where a no-contact order was filed on behalf of the victim. 66-year-old Timothy Morris of Homestead, Florida is behind bars after a woman allegedly caught him on a ring camera raping a 97-year-old aunt. The victim is in hospice care in Miami-Dade County, Florida. He's nonverbal and bedridden. Timothy would often assist elderly women with their care in the absence of hospice staff. The niece grew concerned after a hospice nurse notified her that they found an unspecified discharge around the victim's private area, so she hid a ring camera in the victim's bedroom. At around 2 p.m. on Wednesday the 30th of April, the niece was alerted to someone's presence in her aunt's room. When she reviewed the footage from the camera, she allegedly saw Timothy raping her aunt. Timothy was arrested and charged with sexual battery of a physically incapacitated person and remains held without bond at the Turnford Guilford Night Correctional Centre. Online court records show that he pled not guilty to the charge. The investigation into the matter continues. On Thursday the 1st of May 2025, a jury in Cherokee County, Georgia found 27-year-old Gregory Farrell Davis Jr. guilty of murdering an infant boy while the child's mother was at work. He was convicted of malice murder, felony murder, 4 counts of first-degree cruelty to children and more. The investigation began on the 28th of April 2021 when deputies responded to a 911 call reporting an unresponsive baby at a home in Waleska, Georgia. The boy, 1-year-old James Palcio, suffered injuries to his ribs, neck, fractured vertebrae, and subdural retinal hemorrhages. 2 days later, he was pronounced brain dead. Pediatric specialists said that the boy suffered abusive head trauma consistent with shaking. A sentencing hearing will take place at a later date. On Tuesday the 29th of April 2025, 39-year-old Kenneth Paul Fowler pleaded guilty to the 2024 fatal shooting of his 15-year-old daughter Kendra Fowler. He appeared at the Montgomery County Commons Pleas Court in Ohio and has been convicted of involuntary manslaughter, child endangerment, reckless homicide and 12 counts of possessing weapons while under a disability. On the 14th of March 2024, authorities responded to a shooting at an apartment in the 400 block of Bowen Street in Dayton, Ohio. When police arrived, they entered the premises and found Kendra unresponsive with a gunshot wound to her chest. Officers started CPR, but they were unsuccessful and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Kenneth initially claimed that his 15-year-old nonverbal autistic stepson shot the girl. Dayton Police Major Brian John said that upon further investigation and interviews, that was later proven to be false and that the young lady was shot and killed by her father inside the Bowen Street address. Kenneth later admitted to the shooting and said it was an accident. Dayton police said that the shooting was not an accident, and the victim was begging for her father to stop pointing the gun at her. Kenneth was on probation at the time of the shooting, and was convicted of trafficking cocaine less than a month beforehand. Investigators found 4 guns when they searched the apartment. Montgomery County Prosecutor Mac Heck Jr. said that Kenneth had been arrested approximately 40 times over the past 20 years, and has previously been sentenced to penitentiary. This defendant should never be allowed anywhere near a firearm, and deserves to be in prison. A completely innocent 15-year-old girl has lost her life at the hands of her father, he said. A man has been charged in connection with the 2013 stabbing death of 59-year-old Alan Wayne Hess, whose murder went unsolved for more than a decade. On Friday the 2nd of May 2025, 54-year-old Sean Jones was charged with criminal homicide, burglary and robbery in the killing of Alan, who was found dead in his apartment at 248 West Walnut Street in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on the 7th of January 2013. Authorities said that they recently submitted additional evidence from the crime scene to the Pennsylvania State Police Bureau of Forensic Services for DNA testing. The results came back identifying Sean as a possible suspect. Special agents with the Attorney General's office and other detectives interviewed Sean, who is currently incarcerated on unrelated charges. Sean reportedly admitted to stabbing Ellen a few days before his body was found. He said he entered the apartment and was confronted by Ellen while he attempted to steal a television. A physical altercation ensued, and Sean said he stabbed Ellen before stealing the TV and fleeing the scene. The case remains under investigation.